Welcome back to another week of 5 and 5, where we give you 5 picks in 5 minutes, and we're presented by BetMGM. I'm joined by someone much better than me at picking games, Chris Raybon. I'm Darren Rovell. Just like last week, Chris was once again 3-0, and I was 1-1. So let's recap our season so far. So through 16 weeks, I'm still at 500. A 16-16 record. Chris's 5 and 5 picks, and people, if this doesn't tell you to watch this show, he is at 30, 16-2 on the season. And before we get to our picks this week, a reminder that you could tail all our picks for free, or certainly Chris's. We are sponsored by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. They have a great offer. When you sign up, use the code ACTION, and you'll get a completely risk-free bet up to $1,000 action at BetMGM. All right, let's get to our next group of picks. Chris, you start.
I'm going with the New Orleans Saints plus 6.5 at the Philadelphia Eagles. I think this is way too many points when you consider that not only are the Eagles starting a backup quarterback, but they're also without Lane Johnson, who's one of the top tackles in the game. So the New Orleans defense has been playing really well as of late. They haven't allowed 20 points in 4 straight games. So I think the Eagles are going to be in for a dogfight in this spot. And we look at games with more than a field goal, total under 47. They're covering at a 62% rate this year. So give me the New Orleans Saints against Gardner Minshew and the Eagles.
Gardner Minshew looked good last week, though.
Yeah, he did. So that doesn't mean the Eagles are going to cover by a touchdown.
I know. I just gave you the square. That's what I thought. Now, listen, the Lions are the top scoring team at home. I did I loved Jared Goff, even though you told me to fade him outside, on the road, whatever. I know he's terrible anywhere but home, and the Lions are the best team in terms of the number of points that they score at Ford Field, averaging 31 points a game. This could be crazy, but Chicago's had a couple pretty good games where they've managed to score 20, 24 points. I like the over of 52 in the Chicago at Detroit game. Might take Barry Sanders to get there, and I'm not sure he's available. But I like that number because I just think when Jared Goff feels that turf at Ford Field, he is just loving it. And of course, they have the guys that can get it done. So I'm going over 52. What do you think there?
I like that one because I think it lines up with my next bet, which is I'm taking the Chicago Bears plus 5.5 in Detroit. And the reason is a lot of times at this time of year, it is extremely profitable to bet on teams that are already eliminated going against teams that still have something to play for. They're hitting at about a 63% clip, going all the way back to 1990. The Lions offense is going to score points, but their defense gave up 320 rushing yards to the Panthers last week and 250 passing yards on 22 attempts to Sam Darnold. Chicago had a 24-10 lead against Detroit in their matchup in week 10. Outgained them, lost by 1 in that game. So I think Chicago hangs around yet again here in this spot. And dogs off a loss of 20 or more, like Chicago, 108, 70, and 3, 61% against the spread over the last 5 years. So love me some Chicago Bears at Detroit here.
Oh, I'm in good shape there because we're in the same. I think this turns into some sort of shootout. So that's good. I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers again because why not? Now, some say, oh, you got a 10 there, a minus 10. And I'm like, so what? This Raiders team is a freaking disaster. I mean, the last time I had Jared Stidham is when he threw a pick in for Brady, and I lost that year the most money on a single bet ever. I think this is a disaster. They're doing anything, obviously, to be able to move on from Derek Carr. And the 49ers are just going to continue to play with one hand behind their back and show people how good they are no matter what they do, and their defense is amazing. I don't like to hang a 10, but I like the 10 there.
Yeah, I don't mind it. 49ers are rolling right now, and going against a backup quarterback that just kind of is the white flag for the Raiders. Now, we have seen teams sometimes get feisty in situations like this, but this is just a really good football team.
I think Jarrett Stidham
they've been covering.
Yeah, I think Jarrett Stidham is incapable against the best defense in the league. All right, what do you got for your last pick, Chris?
Let's close it out with the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 2.5 at the Baltimore Ravens. In the Tomlin-Harbaugh era, if you just pick the underdog in this matchup, regardless of the number, just pick the underdog, whether it's Pittsburgh or Baltimore, you would be 21-5-3 against the spread, 81%. If you pick the underdog blindly in the last 10 matchups between these two teams, you'd be 10-0 against the spread. I think Pittsburgh has just as good of a chance to win this as Baltimore. They whipped at the 4th highest rate. Huntley grades out 50th of 51 quarterbacks against the blitz. And the Ravens won by 2 in the first matchup, but Trubisky threw 3 picks. Well, Pickett has only thrown 1 pick in his last 5 games that he's finished. So I think Pittsburgh can stop the run and therefore stop Baltimore here. So give me the Steelers, Mike Tomlin as a dog. Love it.
You know, it's upsetting that Pickett has only thrown 1 pick. They should get the Pitt. The West Virginia kicker to be on the team too. Chris Blewett.
Yeah. I knew you were going with some type of name pun.
Yeah.
Pick. I knew it. I was waiting for it.
Yeah, that would be great if they could have Pickett and Blewett on the same team. All right, that's going to do it for this week. We'll be back the same time next week for more 5 picks in 5 minutes for the amazing Chris Raybon, who is just killing it. I'm Darren Rovell, and this has been 5 and 5 presented by BetMGM. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube so you don't miss, I'm not going to say our picks, Chris's picks.